Imagine a world with a single language, a unified mission, and a tower reaching for the heavens. This isn't a scene from a modern-day sci-fi movie. It's a story from the oldest pages of human history, the Tower of Babel. The tale begins in Genesis 11, where we embark on a journey to ancient Mesopotamia, in the land of Shinar. Here, the descendants of Noah, speaking one language, shared a daring dream to build a city and a tower so high it would touch the sky. This narrative, rich with ancient culture, not only explains the origin of diverse languages, but delves deep into themes of human ambition, unity, and divine intervention. This tale is more than a simple story of building a city and a tower. It's about people's deep wishes and fears. Their dream was to create something lasting, something that would stand against the passing of time. Their words in the Bible capture this desire, saying, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." Genesis 11:4. In these words, we hear their fear of being forgotten and their strong desire to stay together. But there's more to this story than just wanting to build a tower. It's a look into our hearts, showing our longing to be remembered and to achieve great things. The story also hints at a powerful response from above, which changes how people live and interact. As we explore this tale, we uncover themes of talking and not understanding each other, of coming together and being pulled apart, and the big question of what it means to reach for the sky while living on Earth. What drove a civilization to build a structure so ambitious that it challenged the heavens itself? In the age after the Great Flood, as humanity spread across the land, the Earth was ripe for new beginnings. It was during this time of growth and rediscovery that Nimrod, a descendant of Noah, emerged as a figure of significance. Born into a world still echoing with tales of the flood, Nimrod grew up in an era marked by the challenges of rebuilding and the opportunity to redefine the course of human history. The world around him was a canvas of uncharted territories, a mosaic of scattered tribes and nascent communities. It was in this landscape of endless possibilities that Nimrod's character began to take shape, laying the foundation for the leader he was destined to become. Even in his early years, Nimrod's demeanor set him apart. He possessed an innate strength and charisma that drew people to him. His name, often interpreted as "let us rebel," hinted at a future where he would challenge the status quo and carve out his own path. Nimrod was not content with merely surviving. He aspired to rule, to build, and to leave an indelible mark on the earth. As he grew, so did his ambitions. Nimrod became known as a mighty hunter before the Lord, a title that spoke of more than just his skill with the bow or spear. It was a metaphor for his ability to captivate and lead, to hunt not just animals, but opportunities and ambitions. His hunting prowess was legendary, making him a hero in the eyes of many, a symbol of humanity's dominion over the natural world in this new era. Nimrod's rise to power was not just a result of his physical strength or hunting ability. It was his leadership qualities that truly set him apart. He had a vision for the people around him, a vision of a united and powerful society. He spoke to the hearts and minds of his followers, igniting in them a shared dream of greatness and glory. Following God's intervention, the once unified builders of the Tower of Babel faced an insurmountable challenge. The sudden confusion of languages, as described in Genesis 11:7 and 9, created a barrier not just in communication, but in the very essence of their collaboration. So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. In this world, still finding its feet after the cataclysmic flood, Nimrod's presence was like a beacon. He represented hope and strength, a promise of a future where humanity would not just survive, but thrive and conquer. It was against this backdrop that Nimrod began to lay the foundations of what would become one of his greatest legacies, the building of cities, the most famous of which would be Babel, where he would attempt to etch his name in the annals of history forever. In the land known as Shinar, an ancient region rich in history and located in Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, Nimrod's ambitions began to take a tangible form. Shinar, often associated with the region of modern-day Iraq, particularly the area around Babylon, was a fertile plain that offered great potential for the establishment of a grand city. Nimrod, already recognized as a mighty figure, perhaps akin to a king in his influence and authority, turned his attention to urban development, an endeavor that would solidify his power and legacy. Apart from Babel, he was credited with founding several other significant cities, as mentioned in Genesis chapter 10, verses 10 through 12, including Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh. These cities were not just settlements, but were symbols of Nimrod's growing empire and his capability to rule and organize. The vision of Babel, however, was his crowning ambition. Nimrod envisioned a city that would not only be a testament to his power and the achievements of his people, but also a unifying force that would prevent them from being scattered across the earth. At the heart of this city was to be a tower of unprecedented scale, the Tower of Babel, reaching towards the heavens, a symbol of human potential and defiance. The question of Nimrod's morality and whether he was evil is subject to interpretation. The biblical narrative does not explicitly label him as evil. However, his actions, especially in the context of the Tower of Babel, have been interpreted as rebellious against God. This interpretation stems from the perception that Nimrod's ambition to build a tower reaching heaven was an act of pride and defiance, an attempt to rival God's authority and power. Nimrod's character can be seen in different lights: a pioneering leader and city builder who unified people and achieved great architectural feats, or a prideful and rebellious figure challenging divine authority. Regardless of these interpretations, Nimrod's impact was undeniable. He was a central figure in a time of significant transformation, his actions shaping not only his immediate world, but also leaving a lasting impression on human history. From a modern perspective, while the Tower of Babel was undoubtedly ambitious for its time, it would likely pale in comparison to today's skyscrapers. Ancient constructions, even the most grand, were limited by the engineering knowledge and materials of the era. For context, the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, stands at over 828 meters or 2,717 feet. The Bible does not mention a specific height, only saying that the builders intended it to reach to the heavens, which could simply be an idiom expressing great height without indicating any specific measurement. It's interesting to look at, though, how tall other writings have said the tower to be. The Book of Jubilees, which is a whole other story that we will get into another time, mentions the tower's height as being 5,433 cubits and 2 palms, or 8,150 feet. That's 3 times the height of the tallest building in the world. According to the Book of Jubilees, it would have reached 1.6 miles high. As the Tower of Babel rose ever higher, reaching towards the heavens, it caught the attention of God. The Bible captures this pivotal moment in Genesis 11, verses 5 and 6. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." These words reflect a turning point in the narrative. God observed not just the physical structure, but the unity and ambition behind its construction. The people of Babel, speaking a single language and working towards a common goal, had achieved remarkable unity. However, this unity, combined with their ambition to build a tower that reached the heavens, was seen as a step towards a potentially unchecked human arrogance and defiance of divine authority. In response to this, God decided to intervene in a way that would irrevocably alter human history. Genesis 11 and 7 states, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." This verse signifies a decisive divine action to disrupt the unity that had made the construction of the tower possible. The confusion of languages was an act of divine wisdom, a way to prevent humanity from overreaching and losing sight of their place in the world. By confounding their speech, God was not merely halting the construction of a physical tower, he was making a statement about the limits of human ambition and the need for a diversity of perspectives and experiences. This intervention was a moment of profound realization for the people of Babel. They found themselves unable to communicate with one another, their words becoming a cacophony of unintelligible sounds. The once unified workforce was now a disarray of confused groups, unable to cooperate or understand each other. The scattering of the people across the earth, a direct consequence of this divine act, was a fulfillment of God's original intention for humanity to spread and populate the earth, as mentioned earlier in Genesis. It was a redirection of human ambition, steering it away from collective defiance towards a more diverse and dispersed existence. Following God's intervention, the once unified builders of the Tower of Babel faced an insurmountable challenge. The sudden confusion of languages, as described in Genesis 11:7 and 9, created a barrier not just in communication, but in the very essence of their collaboration. So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. This act of confounding languages was more than a mere disruption. It was a fundamental alteration of human interaction. It symbolized the diversity and complexity that would come to characterize human societies. The people, unable to understand each other, were compelled to abandon their grand project, leaving the tower as a lasting symbol of their divided state. The scattering of the people across the earth marked the next phase in human history. The diverse languages led to the formation of different cultures and nations, each with its unique identity and destiny. This dispersion was a fulfillment of God's intention for humanity to populate and steward the earth, as mentioned in the earlier chapters of Genesis. The incomplete Tower of Babel stood in stark contrast to the spreading communities. It remained a monument to the limits of human ambition when it tries to surpass divine boundaries. The scattering, while initially seen as a setback, was actually a diversification of human potential and creativity, laying the groundwork for the rich tapestry of civilizations that would follow. In the aftermath of the Tower of Babel, Nimrod's legacy was a complex one. His ambition and leadership qualities, while remarkable, ultimately led to a dramatic change in human history. The Tower project, intended to be a pinnacle of human achievement and unity, turned into a lesson about the balance between ambition and humility. Nimrod's story is a reflection of the human condition, the desire to reach great heights, to make a mark on the world, and to challenge limits. Yet, it also serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of recognizing and respecting the boundaries set by divine authority.